Today, we're talking about rest and burnout, how to support a spouse through burnout, what the best-selling book of all time says about rest, and we'll even try to grade our own current burnout levels. This is another Dad Mode episode of Preacher in the Hat. My name's Eric. Welcome to a Dad Mode episode of Preacher in the Hat. With me, returning this week, is my co-host and twin brother, Derek. Derek, welcome back to the show.
Yeah, it got good to be back.
So, just kicking things off right off the bat, tell me, what is the most burned out you have ever felt as a dad?
I can think of a couple different times, a couple different moments. The probably one that jumps out off the page the most was the summer of 2022. When my wife was pregnant with our daughter and my son was 2.5, a little over 2.5. And there were some complications with the pregnancy and, some stuff we knew that she was high risk. So her doctor actually asked her to go and live with her mom, who was closer to the hospital because, seconds and minutes save lives and that sort of thing. And that's what we were tasked with. In order not to change it up on my son though too much, he and I stayed at our house, which was about 20 minutes away, and driving out there after work, as much as we could to visit. Yeah, the confusion of a 2-year-old, and what was really like going on. That was an exhausting summer. Yeah, that was pretty much all summer. She was over there from May until August.
Yeah, mid-August.
Yeah, that was high levels of burnout for sure.
Okay, so on the opposite ends of that spectrum, what was the most restful moment you've ever felt as a parent? When that was over?
That was a bit, yes. When that was over, for sure. I think I've seen it a lot, the last little bit, as I was saying, like our kids are kind of getting older now. And there's been some moments where they're kind of, their independence grows and things like that. And so that's always fun to see them kind of not be like, you enjoy when they're reliant on you for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And you still want that some, but also having those moments where you kind of sit back and things are just kind of happening without you having to, do something.
Yeah.
Things like that. So that's been pretty recent. I would say that's not really a specific example, but it's just kind of one of those things that's unfolding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like it. What do you feel like for you contributes what contributes the most to feeling burned out? And this is not just as a parent, but so, is it work stuff? Is it, responsibilities? Is it actual parenting? Or is it just a combination of everything?
Yeah. I feel like we kind of underestimate how much of a role other people play in burnout, in our own sense of burnout. If at work, it can often be who you're working for. If you're feeling high levels of burnout, or what the leadership is like there, that can play a big role in burnout. In parenting, I think it's more or less to do with how much rest you're getting physically can play a factor, because that causes so much other stuff to kind of melt down around you. When everyone's tired, it kind of hits the fan.
Yeah.
And I think that plays the biggest role in parenting. And it's one of those things that is like, it's totally fixable. Like, you can tell when everybody's had a nap. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yes.
Yourself included.
Yeah.
So I feel like in parenting, rest is like the biggest factor, like actual physical rest.
Yeah.
Is a big factor. And, an emotional break or something like, where just any kind of downtime can kind of boost you there too. So I feel like it's different factors. Parenting, it's like a different kind of burnout, because as soon as you're recharged, you're ready to get after it again.
I was going to say, and obviously being in a 2-parent home, so, single parents, you're doing an unbelievable job. Yeah. That's incredible. For me, when it comes to actual like burnout with the actual act of parenting, like you were kind of talking about, is that it's nice. I feel like I'm able to, and maybe it's not like this for everybody, but I'm able to compartmentalize it to a day, really.
Yeah.
And so an evening can just be,
Yeah.
you know, like, I mean, oh man. But if once you get that, like that turn off and that reset, my kids, at least right now at this age, go to bed before I do. So you get a little bit of time. Me and Michaela have a chance to decompress a little bit in the evening. And then that means when the alarms go off, in the next morning, there's usually a lot more smiling faces, and it's, it's much easier to restart again.
And to your point, I think the opposite of that is if you use the work example, if you're in a rough stretch at work where you're having burnout, it's like it immediately, like as soon as you walk in the door, you're like, ugh.
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
But what you were saying, like with the kids, you got some rest and
everybody
shows up to the breakfast table and you're like, smiling faces. We're all like good to go,
Right.
So
yeah, it's not all, it's not, I guess it's not 100 out of 100 days that it always works exactly like that, but
sure.
There's a lot better, a lot more reset. So I think what you said about, for me, it's like it's external factors that will sometimes make me think that it's parenting, it's the kids, it's all that kind of stuff. And I have a great example of that because I'm on paternity leave right now. Now, I love my job and they're good to me, and it's not a job where I'm having to constantly work after hours or, that kind of thing. I'm available, but it's well within reason, my job, but I'm on paternity leave right now. And because, we just had our third, child. And so now we got 3 at home, and it's, it's a lot going on, but the fact that I don't even have to go into work, on quote unquote sabbatical is not the right word, from work and from, some church responsibilities right now, where I can just focus on, being dad at home 100% of the, like 100% for 6 weeks. And it's, it's great. It's like there's not all this stuff pouring in from the outside. It makes, there's so much different, the energy levels. Like I feel like, especially as a dad, that you have when you're not thinking about work or other responsibilities. And that's not to say that, like I said, for me, that's not to say that those other responsibilities are bad, because they're not. And I don't mind them. I'm not the guy that's sitting, on the couch Sunday night with the Sunday scaries dreading work, for the next week. That doesn't happen to me. Mm-hmm. But even still, when you remove it from the equation and all you have to focus on is being a dad, like that's really, really cool. And so, long story short, to say, I agree exactly with what you were saying about, it's really those external factors, like when that kind of stuff kicks in, that can make me feel like, oh, this is what, like, parenting is so hard, and parenting is hard.
Sure.
But they can make me feel like this is like I'm struggling parenting. And it's like, well, actually there's just like a million other things pushing down, or I'm allowing myself to think about or be weighed down by a million other things. Okay. So, question, want to talk about, we both, are, I mentioned single parents earlier. We are both blessed to not be doing that. And God bless everybody who is having to take that on. I talked in the last episode that was just me about having community around us as parents. And that actually starts to me like with each other, like with spouses. So when we're talking about, if we're talking about supporting a spouse who is burned out, or how you want to be supported if you're feeling burned out, where does that start for you?
I would say encouraging your partner, spouse, whatever, to have their time, like whatever their hobby is or something like that. And when they are leaving the house or whatever like that, not like making sure they know, particularly because I feel like, mom guilt is kind of like a real thing. So from my perspective, whatever, she might always be like, oh, well, maybe I shouldn't go.
Right.
Making sure that she knows
like we're good here.
Good. Yeah. Like leave. Good. So that would probably be where I would start.
I think so too. It's like you and I, just this past weekend, from recording this, our buddy Josiah was in town. We headed out to play some disc golf early on a Saturday morning. And like for me, being able to do that is like a major head clearer.
Yeah.
Now I wasn't necessarily in need of it, Saturday, but it's just like, it's something that just feels great. And then also, but like you said, when I leave the house, there's not like, I don't feel like I had to just like rip off a Band-Aid to leave the house. And so, Michaela, which she'll be getting started at going back to like playing her Friday night soccer here pretty soon, which she's loved to do for years now since she graduated college. And we to be able to have that trade off, and when she leaves, it's not just like, you're playing again tonight.
Yeah,
like, yeah. Playing again tonight. Like, no. Like we can do this. We're good. And just like being able to trade off that support is great. It doesn't mean like for us, there's not like a ledger. It doesn't have to be perfectly balanced to say we have to do the exact same amount of stuff or the exact same amount of nights per week. 'Cause that's just, to me, that just gets messy. But, just being able to support as much as possible, that sort of thing is what feels best to me, to know that I can give that and also receive that. Yeah. It's like a huge boost.
Right. But I think also what you're saying too, though, there's like giving is also important. So like making so making sure while you don't have to just balance and, keep a ledger, making sure it is, somewhat balanced. Make sure that it's not just, one person be like, oh, don't keep a ledger against me.
But you can abuse that 100%. Yeah, exactly. That's a great example because, now I played disc golf, not regular golf. So it's a much shorter event. Yeah. So hitting the golf course, right? Regular golf course from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. every Saturday, and my wife getting, 45 minutes at a coffee shop every other week. You're like,
not the same.
We might want to balance that one a little bit. Yeah. But just being able to have that give and take, I think is super, super clutch. Another thing that I feel like I'm not very good at, but I know helps Michaela out, is like when you just do stuff, when you just get stuff done. And I mean like out of the ordinary. So like the kitchen's not that dirty, but just like doing the dishes anyway. Like they're not a lot of them, but just like clearing it out anyway. Mopping the floors, like mopping the kitchen. She, she wasn't going to do it, maybe that day or any, or any of the next coming days, but just, just doing it. Just, and cleaning is an easy one. I mean, that's an easy one to draw on. But I mean, honestly, I feel stressed out when I walk in, like sometimes when the house is like, you walk in and the house is a wreck and there's toys everywhere. And so, like, pulling on that string every now and then, surprise chores, that's a good move too.
Yeah.
And like Michaela is great about that as well. Like I just, it's changing now since she's she's not working with the third child, but before then it's like you come home and totally not expect anything. She'd been in working that day, and you come home and the house, like the whole house is clean, or the living room is clean. That's where all our toys get amassed. You come home to a clean living room, you're like, whoa, yeah, awesome. And that kind of stuff is just like a neat touch that we need to be, I feel like I need to be focusing on, and it really does help each other out in a big way. What else?
We've got something written down here about listening, which is that can sometimes be. I'll broaden it a little bit, I say, because remember, not every time every time you're talking, it shouldn't always be about venting. But I just say just like good communication in general, and even
just talk about stuff.
Yeah.
Yep.
And man, I've tried so hard at this lately. My wife's schedule is crazy because of she's a real estate agent. And there's so many appointments.
Yeah.
And they're doing great right now. So there's so much stuff going on. So like trying to understand her schedule and remembering that she's got an appointment, and if there's if there's a time that I need to work from home or something to help with the kids because it's summer and that. So trying to actively listen when she tells me what she's like, oh yeah, we've got this coming up on, Thursday, so that I can actually remember on Thursday, what's happening. That's what I'm trying to do right now, man. It is so hard. It's like, man, like I love that y'all are doing great, but there's so much stuff. Yeah. There's so many appointments, and I get it wrong. And she's so great about, cause I'll be like, what do you have this morning? And she doesn't give me crap for not remembering, like, but yeah,
that's awesome. That's awesome. So to close out, I want to see if we can possibly take a stab at grading our current burnout levels. So we're going to do that. You're going to give 4 different scores that are going to be averaged together to try to get us a 1 out of 10 on how burned out we are. So the 4 sections are going to be kind of how well you recharge, what kind of emotional margin you have, how well you practice the Sabbath, and then time boundaries that you set. So I'll have 4 questions, and we'll try to get you set up with a 1 through 10 on all 4 of those. And if we have time, I'll do it as well. So first one, and this is going to give us our rest score, or burnout score. I don't know, however you want to call it. Do you regularly, on a scale of 1 to 10, how regularly do you do anything that replenishes you mentally or physically?
10 being like, free, like 10 as much as need, like to meet the need.
No. So, I guess that's probably, read backwards then, because 10 would be like you're maxed out.
Oh, okay. So for recharge level, if I was a 1, that would be great. Is that what you're saying? This is confusing.
I believe. Okay, so I'm all twisted. I'm all twisted. Low scores are bad.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm all twisted. Yeah,
low
scores
are bad.
1
to 5. Let's simplify.
Okay.
1 through 5. 5 stars, 1 star.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Low scores are bad.
Yeah. Recharge level for me, I got several things that recharge. Doing this podcast is one. Getting out on, playing some disc golf. It's good. My son always wants to practice baseball. That's a good recharge. So I'm 5 stars on that one.
Nice.
I got plenty of things that I'm able to do right now.
Okay. All right. And so as far as like your emotional margin, do you feel like you're always maxed out? Or do you have any space left to handle like additional stress?
That's a good question. I'm probably not a 5 on that one. I wouldn't say that that's always the case, that I'm always great on that one, but I could confidently say a 4.
All right, looking good.
Yeah.
All right, and so in the intentionality around
I'm bad at
Sabbath
this.
practices, here we go.
Yeah.
Are you creating time to be still and connect with God? Remember, 1 star is bad.
Yeah. I would give myself like a 2.5 on this because I'm intentionality is the, because I think a lot of times we associate Sabbath with doing nothing. Mm-hmm. I'm really good at doing nothing.
Right. Yeah.
But I don't think that's what this means.
Yes.
That's not what we're meaning here.
Right.
And so actually in the time that I'm not doing anything else, connecting with God, got to get, like to where I'm doing that more often, because there's some dead time in it where like after kids have gone to bed and that sort of thing, and I could focus much more of it there. I think a lot of times we tend to just do a little bit and then get satisfied. So
Yeah. Cool. And then are you, for time boundaries, let's kind of put it this way. Are you protecting against work bleed over into, family time at home? Struggling to say no, excessive obligations, distractions, too much screen, too much phone time, too much TV time, whatever.
I don't think I'm overextended work-wise. My work can be somewhat demanding. I also have I got a good boss who, understands family and that sort of thing. And I'm available, but, I'm not working 80 hours a week.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I feel pretty good about the time boundaries. I go 4 stars on that.
Nice. All right. So you, let's see, you think you gave us I think you're right there around a full 4 stars,
Yeah.
just about. So that
sounds pretty solid.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I would probably be just below you, because I think I would say for my intentionality of Sabbath, and that's a key word, and the way you mentioned it was really important. Is doing nothing is different. For me is a little bit different than Sabbath.
Yeah.
Now there should be a little bit of doing nothing in that, but I would probably go with the solid 2, not the 2.5. So I think I would be just a notch down below you. And then for recharge, normally that's a full on 5 star. Mm-hmm. It might, in the current state where I am right now, there's just a little, when when an infant is an infant, there's just like a little bit, there's not quite as much as that you can do. You can't step out quite as often.
Yeah.
So that may kind of drop down to a 4 star right now, but
Understandable.
yeah,
So.
yeah. Overall, I would give myself an overall, altogether, hopefully right around close to a 4 out of 5.
Yeah.
So that's good. Maybe we'll check back in on these. We obviously have some score raising to do as it relates to the Sabbath.
So recharge level, emotional margin, Sabbath practice, time boundaries. If you can score yourself on those rest categories, drop them in a comment.
Yeah, let us know where you are at. And finally, as we get to the end here, we know that God said a lot, and Jesus practiced rest. You can find a specific example where Jesus literally said the words himself in Mark 6:31. I'm going to let you read that. I'm going to let you all read that verse for yourself. Go find it, see what he was up to when he was talking about rest, and then also very cool about what came very shortly right after that rest period. It was something pretty cool. Not gonna blow it. Gonna invite you to get into
little
the
bit of
word there.
Sabbath
Yeah,
time.
that's right. That's right. So Mark 6:31. Read the surrounding verses. You'll get a good idea of just like going absolutely nuts on something if you need to, and then getting that rest, and then and then God doing a big work after that rest. But the point of the matter is that, God, he did it. He took rest. He took PTO, if you will. We know he did that way back when. He commanded it in Exodus as well. If you're feeling burned out, it's important to get that rest kicked in. Talk to your spouse about it. Talk to your friends about it. Hopefully you have some community around you as well. We're lucky. We're blessed enough to have parents and family, aunts and uncles to our kids who step in and assist us with that. Hopefully you can build a community around that sort of thing for yourself as well. But thank you for being with us to talk about burnout a little bit. Let us know your rest scores, like Derek said. If you've made it this far and you're still watching, hit those subscribe and like buttons wherever you are watching or listening. Thank you for being with us. This has been Dad Mode, and we'll see you next time.